The first hint that the day would be anything but ordinary arrived before sunrise, when the studio's cavern-like soundstage doors groaned open and a breeze of mid-season London chill swept across the concrete floor. Tom Hardy had been on set since 4 in the morning, headphones on, rehearsing the gravel-voiced cadence of his character for yet another take of the period drama's pivotal speech. The only spectators were a handful of lighting techs, still woozy from instant coffee fumes, and the ever-present hum of the cameras idling in standby. Hardy relished these private dawn hours. They were a pocket of calm before the inevitable swirl of publicists, viral-hungry bloggers, and the exclusive behind-the-scenes crews that now flocked to any production carrying his name. But as he mouthed the final syllables into the hush, a low commotion at the far end of the catwalk broke his concentration. A chorus of walkie-talkie squawks, boot steps, and the unmistakable metallic clatter of security barriers being rearranged. His gaze flicked upward. Studio security rarely moved with that kind of urgency unless a fire marshal popped by, or a streaming platform executive decided to tour the set. He lowered his headphone and caught a snippet of conversation. Marquee visitor, high visibility, keep phones ready. High visibility visitors, Hardy knew, usually meant surprise influencers or a pop superstar dropping in for cross-promotional social content. He exhaled, rolled his shoulders, and told himself it was just another day in 2020-something Hollywood, where every corner of production doubled as potential trending content. 5 minutes later, the main doors parted again, flooding the dimly lit space with the flash of external camera strobes. A cluster of men in dark suits swept inside, as though carried by an invisible current of urgency. At their center strode a figure Hardy recognized instantly, despite the shock of seeing him in person. The larger-than-life silhouette, the unmistakable swept-back hair, glinting like a pale torch under the high beams, and that signature forward-leaning stride that always suggested the world itself was running late for his next appointment. Donald J. Trump, former president, reality TV architect, perpetual headline generator, was marching straight toward the war rubble set of Hardy's show. Hardy's eyebrow arched so high it nearly met the brim of his beanie. He'd heard rumors that the production's financiers were courting massive global eyes for the show's upcoming trailer release. But he had imagined, at worst, a pop idol cameo, maybe a viral TikTok dance challenge. Not a surprise visit from the man who could crash any news cycle with a single unscripted sentence. Around him, crew members froze mid-task. Boom operators held their poles like captured flags. Camera assistants gawked while still rolling dolly tracks into place. Phones snapped up like periscopes. Hashtags previewed themselves in the air. Hashtag Tom meets Trump. Hashtag unexpected set visit. Hashtag mind-blowing behind the scenes. Hardy inhaled, squared his posture, and prepared for the collision of two very different brands of charisma. Trump reached the tape-marked edge of the main set, surveyed the sandbagged scenery meant to resemble post-war Europe, and boomed. Now, this looks incredible, really incredible, maybe the best bombed-out village I've ever seen. His entourage laughed on cue, a polished chorus of approval. Hardy took a careful step forward, wiping stage dust from his palms onto his trousers. He was no stranger to power brokers with sharp elbows, but this entrance felt like a thunderstorm rolling through a library. A publicist materialized at Hardy's side, whispering, "They scheduled a quick morale visit. 15 minutes, photo op, then out. We didn't get final confirmation until 5 minutes ago. Please be gracious." Hardy bit back a grin. Gracious was relative. He walked forward, hand extended, prepared to play the gracious host on his own soundstage. Whatever the day held, it promised to trend worldwide before lunch. Donald Trump's handshake felt exactly as Hardy had expected, firm, slightly theatrical, infused with the ritual confidence of a man accustomed to greeting both construction workers and heads of state with equal showmanship. Yet there was a flicker of genuine curiosity in Trump's eyes as he took in the actor's costume. A weather-beaten wool overcoat, mud-splashed boots, grime smeared artfully across Hardy's brow to give the illusion of nights spent in foxholes. "Tom, tremendous to meet you," Trump declared, his voice reverberating through the cavernous space, inviting cameras to sip every syllable. "You know, I did a lot of television, #1 show for years. You're doing terrific work here. People tell me it's going to be huge on streaming, maybe the biggest historical series ever, fantastic ratings. Hardy, who had trained himself to filter flattery like excess stage smoke, smiled politely. "Thank you, sir. We aim to make something authentic." "Authentic? Exactly," Trump said, gesturing to the debris-strewn set as though he might order a renovation on the spot. "Looks absolutely real. They told me you stay in character between takes. True method, like the best guys. Tremendous discipline." Hardy chuckled, aware of the collective breath-holding around them. "Well, the mud helps," he replied, tapping a boot heel against the boards. The publicist edged closer, her expression a perfect blend of anxious optimism and risk management. "Mr. President, we have a brief tour mapped out. This way, please." She guided them past the skeletal remains of a bombed church facade, the charred barrel of a period tank, and a row of mannequins waiting for stunt doubles. Trump peppered the production designer with questions about explosives, budgets, and how you keep everything so realistic without actually blowing the place up. Crew members snapped stealth photos while pretending to tighten bolts. Hardy noticed Trump's gaze drifting to the practical flamethrower rig being prepped for an afternoon stunt. "We're filming a liberation scene later," Hardy offered. "Lot of controlled fire, debris, real technical ballet, to be honest." Trump's eyes lit like a child near a fireworks stand. "You know, I've always said the key to a great show is high energy, something explosive. People love it. Maybe I should do a cameo, Tom. Walk through the flames, say something heroic, leave everybody cheering." The entourage erupted in supportive laughter. Hardy's mind flashed to a million potential headlines. Trump lands role in gritty war epic. Tom Hardy and Donald Trump ignite internet in jaw-dropping cameo. He raised an eyebrow. "We need to run that cameo by legal, sir. Flames can be unpredictable." Trump waved the concern away with a practiced flourish. "We'll make it the safest fire ever. Trust me, nobody does safe fire better." Hardy bit back a remark, and instead guided the conversation toward craft. Stunt rehearsal timings, safety zones, the silent language of pyrotechnic cues. Trump listened, nodding vigorously, before pivoting to a topic that threw Hardy for a loop. "Tell me, Tom, when you're playing these intense roles, do you ever think about the ratings, the audience engagement, the viral clips? Because that's what makes a show truly successful. Connecting with viewers. We had the highest ratings when I was in the White House, believe me." Hardy chose diplomacy. "I focus on character truth, sir. When that's done right, audiences usually connect on their own." Trump tapped his chin thoughtfully as though filed the phrase character truth into a mental marketing deck. The tour wound through makeup trailers and wardrobe racks. Hardy introduced Trump to the show's costume designer, a petite woman with tape measure draped like a scarf. Trump admired a rack of blood-stained uniforms. "These look authentic, too authentic. Maybe you could design suits for my next rally. I like strong color stories." The designer laughed nervously. Hardy steered them onward. Near the craft services table, currently loaded with porridge, protein bars, and artisan coffee, Trump paused, surveyed the offerings, and plucked a slice of banana bread. "Healthy," he noted, taking a bite. "But Tom, you look like you could use a good cheeseburger between takes. That's how you bulk up. Very important for screen presence." Hardy grinned, remembering his venom bulking diet of chicken and rice, and silently calculated the meme potential of "Tom Hardy offered cheeseburger advice by Donald Trump." At mid-tour, the series director, a refined Brit with silver-streaked beard, joined them. He carried a leather-bound notebook and an aura of perpetual scheduling anxiety. Trump pumped his hand. "Heard you're doing award-winning work here," Trump said. "Awards are great. I've won many, probably more than most people know. But the real success is global streaming numbers." The director blinked behind round glasses, murmured something about creative integrity, and gently attempted to corral the entourage toward exit. Yet Trump's curiosity had one more twist. Spotting the historical props table, stacked with replica rifles, ration tins, and telegram machines, he beelined toward it. Hardy followed, heart thumping. Live firearms were rigorously secured, but the optics of Trump inspecting rifles on set risked headlines loud enough to drown the upcoming trailer drop. The armorer, a burly ex-military consultant, stiffened. Trump reached for a disabled rifle. The armorer politely interposed, explaining safety protocol. Trump nodded, praising the tremendous respect for weapons and recounting an anecdote about negotiating arms deals. Cameras clicked. Hardy's jaw tightened. The photo was inevitable. Finally, after nearly 45 minutes, 30 more than scheduled, the tour reached the set's exit. Trump thanked the crew, complimented the production value again, and promised to tweet out something amazing about the show, though advisors reminded him his account was still under various platform scrutiny. Hardy shook Trump's hand once more, polite smile in place. "Thank you for visiting, sir," he said. Trump leaned in and stage whispered, "Remember, explosions, ratings, viral moment. Don't forget that Cameo idea." With that, he pivoted, swept out under the Klieg lights, entourage in tow. The doors closed, strobe flashes faded, and the cavernous set seemed suddenly 10 degrees cooler. A collective exhale rippled through the crew. The publicist wiped her brow, muttering, "Well, that happened." Hardy chuckled. "I half expected him to commandeer a tank." The director sighed, scribbling in his notebook. "We've just lost an hour of light. Reset everyone. Back to first positions." The crew shook off adrenaline like rain. Hardy returned to the war-scarred village set, found his mark amid pulverized plaster, and waited for the clapperboard. But the energy had shifted. It hummed with the knowledge that their once quiet project had just collided with a force that could catapult it into stratospheric trending territory, or eclipse it entirely beneath meme culture's sticky shadow. The echo of Trump's last footsteps had barely faded when Hardy's phone buzzed with notifications stacking like falling dominoes. Alerts from entertainment tabloids, political blogs, YouTube commentators sniffing for mind-blowing crossover content, and the inevitable tweets riffing on what Donald Trump might demand in craft services if he cameoed as a wartime general. Hardy skimmed a headline already trending. Tom Hardy's set visited by Donald Trump. Behind-the-scenes shock will leave you speechless. He uttered an amused groan. In a half hour, the internet had spun straw into clickbait gold, but the real weight of the moment landed in the director's next words. "Tom, we need you camera ready in 10. We're shooting the monologue." 10 minutes ago, Hardy's headspace had been trench mud and survivor's guilt. Now it buzzed with the surreal memory of Trump praising explosion counts. He retreated to the makeup trailer, where the artist patched fresh grime onto his cheekbones. She muttered, "Any chance he bankrolls season 2? Hardy shot her a playful glare, but said nothing. Inwardly, he toggled between professional focus and existential meta-commentary. How would historians revisit the day Donald Trump wandered through a fictional war zone to dispense ratings advice? The thought dissolved when First AD barked, "Picture up!" Hardy tightened his overcoat, stepped into the fabric of 1940-something, and delivered a smoking ember monologue about loss, loyalty, and fragile hope. He hit every beat, but somewhere in the back of his mind, a neon caption flashed. #unexpected cameo potential. Cycled on loop. But sandwiched between them, he saw newly released stills from the day's shoot, smoke-wreathed silhouettes, Hardy's eyes blazing amid flying embers. Fans flooded comment sections. "Can't wait for this series. Hardy looks unrecognizable. Oscar vibes." The producer's strategy was working. Artistry reasserted itself over spectacle. Space, imagined tomorrow's schedule, and felt an invigorating certainty. The work would go on, deeper than hashtags, stronger than trending tides. Outside, he spotted the studio's security guard, who'd first ushered Trump's convoy. The guard grinned sheepishly. "Wild day, sir." Hardy clapped him on the shoulder. "Wild, yeah, but tomorrow's just another shoot day." He meant it, because in the marathon of storytelling, novelty moments flash and fade, but discipline carries the torch into the next scene. Hardy climbed into his black van, the city lights winking through misted windows, and braced for headlines he couldn't control. Yet inside, a quiet satisfaction settled. He had kept the set steady, he had protected the work, and that was enough to sleep on. When dawn crept back over London, and the first articles crystallized into print, the narrative had found balance. Entertainment outlets led with the sensational. Donald Trump's surprise visit to Tom Hardy set shocks Hollywood. But the long-form pieces dive deeper, praising the drama's authenticity, Hardy's jaw-dropping performance, and the director's cinematic ambition. The cameo rumors fizzled once press learned there were no legal clearances. Instead, critics highlighted Hardy's grace under pressure, allowing access yet safeguarding the creative integrity of the project. Within days, the teaser trailer dropped, footage of bomb-blasted streets, stoic faces, and Hardy's gravel-voiced protagonist vowing redemption. Social engagement skyrocketed, partly powered by curiosity from Trump's visit, but sustained by the riveting visuals. Fans tagged reactions. "Didn't know about this show until the Trump thing. Now I'm hooked." The producers toasted to accidental marketing karma that still respected the craft. That night, as Hardy drove across the Thames, radio chatter recounted top cultural moments of the season. The host mentioned Trump's infamous set visit, but swiftly pivoted to rave about the series' early reviews. Raw, immersive, must-watch. Hardy grinned, steering into the city lights. The day Trump marched onto his set had threatened to rewrite the narrative. Instead, it had merely underlined the resilience of artists who refused to let noise drown substance. He parked near home, stepped into the cool night, and exhaled. Tomorrow, promo tours would begin. Press junkets, red carpets, endless questions. Some journalists would chase Trump quotes, others would parse his performance. Hardy would answer, politely redirect, repeat. But beneath each interview pulsed the quiet knowledge of what truly mattered. The story captured on film, the human truths beneath the spectacle, and the unspoken promise that no viral whirlwind, however sudden, could topple the scaffold of authentic craft. With that certainty tucked into his chest like a well-worn script, Tom Hardy closed the door behind him, ready for the next scene, whatever headlines chose to call it.